We're looking down on the workpiece from my last video on shaper work and shaper tooling, and I'll try not to break the focus, but you can just barely discern on that end. There's a slight shiny piece of the material, and there'll be a little hump there, probably about half a thou. That usually is where the interrupted cut starts, of course, but also there are some way you can prevent the tool from backing out of the work as it moves in. It's a simple grinding technique that I found in a book. I'll show you a couple of books in a minute and look at a few pieces of high-speed steel tooling. Also now I'll back away and take a little bit of film of the clapper actuator on the side of the machine. Yep, this is the clapper actuator on the left-hand side of my CMZ L450 shaper. The left-hand side of it, you can see that's just a rocker arm, which is adjustable on a central shaft, a little slipper or foot at the bottom, and there's a stainless steel rubbing strip along the top of the frame of the shaper there. That little shoe pushes down on the arm, and as you go backwards, it is drawn anti-clockwise by the friction pad. It pulls on the draw rod, which is then hooked up with a lever on the clapper box. Very effective, adjustable, it works extremely reliably. It doesn't like the whey oil coming out of the V-side up on top of it, makes it slip a little bit. The big problem is you can't tilt the head more than a few degrees either side and it doesn't operate. Okay, good mechanism, you can see how it looks. We'll go over to the borer now. Hello everyone, welcome back to In My Shed. I'm BC. This will be my last video for the year. I hope you all had a terrific Christmas, got what you wanted, or if you didn't get what you wanted, tough, that's what you're going to get. I hope the new year brings you a bit better than this last year. We've had awful storms here in Queensland and my air conditioner at home is buggered, so I'll have to sweat the next couple of days out. Today we're going to look at some high-speed steel tooling and a couple of books, and I think you'll enjoy what we've got. It's difficult to get information as shaping machines that went out of fashion a while ago and they're not really described much now, but they've come to the fore in the hobby industry. I just don't know why. Everybody seems to like shapers. I know I like mine, I like what I can do with it, but that's more nostalgic. I was trained on shapers back in the 1960s, that's how old I am. It was 56 years ago, that's a bloody long time. So to get the lesson moving, we'll put the hat into high speed mode. That makes me 30 years younger. I'll bring the camera in, show you a couple of very informative books that I would urge you all to at least get out of a library and have a read. If you own a shaper, buy one. They are worth their weight in gold. But also, you've got to appreciate that all cutting tool action is based on a single point cutting tool. Once you learn the single point theory, you'll be more au fait with what you're actually doing with the cutting tool. And it's something that's lacking now is what the hell am I actually trying to achieve and why is it working this way? Okay, zoom you in shortly. G'day guys, back again. This is one of the tool holders that I showed you in the last video, and I think I was getting these from STM Surplus in the States. They were a fantastic firm to deal with. These tool holders cost me about $100 each, and I also got some Morse taper sockets from there I've shown before, 1.25" diameter Morse 3 taper inside. They're about $90 each, but this sort of thing's not available here in Australia unless you can scratch through Mike Moyle's shop or somewhere like that. Well, we don't have much of that here in Brisbane. But anyway, onto high-speed steel tooling. This is just a general purpose shaper tool. I was always taught that the top face here is the rake face. That's the face against which the material is removed. That is your front clearance. If it's a square end tool, you have end clearance. Rear clearance if you're screw cutting. I don't agree with the Americans where they've got top rake, side rake, front rake. They're not rake angles. The rake angle is only the top one, the others are clearance angles. In tools such as a twist drill, the helix of the drill is the rake angle. So once you get that into your head when you're talking rakes, it becomes a little bit easier. Now when we first come online today, I had a vision of a workpiece, and I don't know whether it was clear in the video, but right at the very start of the cut, there was a small section that was a little bit shiny, and if you put a very good micrometer on there, you can see that it's picked up about half a thou. That's even with the shaving tool. If you're using a roughing tool, the cutting tool comes into the work and it jumps up a little bit. It gets very pronounced. You also get a great big thump, and the workpiece can be projected across the workshop and into the wall quite a bit. There's two ways to alleviate that substantially. One is to file a chamfer across the starting point of the workpiece equal to about the depth of the tool. That way your poor old tool is not trying to climb into the work full depth with the first millimetre or two into the job. The second thing you can do is not change your rake angle, but change your approach angle. I'm pretty sure that was what I was taught it as in the BS standard. So that is 0 approach angle, bring that down to about 15 degrees, still have your positive rake, and that way the upper part of the tool is contacting a few thou before the lower part of the tool, and the tool will ease its way into the workpiece and not give you such a big thump. And you won't get the hump at the start there, and that is very easy to perceive. You'll see a shiny part there where the material is pushed up. So on the high-speed steel tooling, you'll see that the Americans use quite a few big slabs of high-speed steel. That's a bit prohibitive cost-wise here in Australia. To buy an inch by 6 inch lump of high-speed steel is going to set you back a lot of money. So I always use tool holders, and usually 3/8 square high-speed steel, and these have a bit of a story to them. Here in Australia we use either M2, which is just straight high-speed steel, or M42, which is 8% cobalt. Well, I was shopping over at America on the internet a while ago, and I went to a place called Victor Machinery, and he's your usual selling Chinese tools, etc. But it does a high-speed steel selection. It's very, very good, and it's very cheap. And I misread the ad. I took it as being American high-speed steel, and I love their tooling. So I bought a bit of a stash, and this is the 3/8 square. It's very plainly marked. It says MHC high-speed steel CO5, so it's not M42 at 8%. I think this is M8, 5%. 3/8 by 3/8 by 3 inch China. Now at first I was a bit down in the gob. I thought, oh well, maybe I just got diddled by the supplier and this tooling won't be any good, but this tool here tells a different story. Even with the Australian high-speed steel, I'd be machining for 10 minutes and then take the handstone to it and lap it up a little bit. This particular tool will shape away for probably half an hour before it needs a touch-up. It is extremely hard. Grinding this product on the bench grinder, you know that you're grinding a bit of hard steel. So does 5% cobalt perform better than M42? On a shaper, I would say yes, it's probably a little bit harder, but I don't think it's got the high heat resistance of M42, and I can't test that on the shaper. So if I get to do a little bit of turning with it, a bit of form work, or just chamfering, whatever, or maybe even do a demo with a bit of high-speed steel, I'll do a bit of a test and relay that back to you. But yeah, very, very good buy. I would say that's at least as good as anything I've used in the past, and I have used some 13% cobalt high-speed steel tools that Nachi brought into the country many years ago, and boy, they were good tools. They weren't overly expensive and they were very, very good. So if you want to keep your costs down, I would go to high-speed steel. It's worth buying a tool holder. It will eventually save you a heck of a lot of money. Okay, put that out of sight. If you're going into shapers, I would suggest, oh, excuse me, that's a customer. Okay, a couple of books for you to peruse and hopefully chase up. This is Lessons in Shaper Work, and I think it's been taken out of a TAFE manual or something a lot older than TAFE. It's by J.W. Barrett and reprinted by Lindsay Productions. This is very good. It's like a learning text. It's got different or description of the machine, and it's very good in that it shows you how to do lesson by lesson. And I could say if you can find a copy of that, it's worth buying. Here's a little gem. That, in my opinion, is the best shaper book ever written by Ian Bradley, technical publication. And I've got this and its sister book, which is, I think, shaper, lathe and drill press work. all aimed at apprentices and what you can do with the shaper. Very good description, but the part that takes my eye is a self-feeding mechanism for the downfeed and how to make one, which is quite brilliant. Excellent work there. Servicing the tools or grinding your tools, and very simple, what you did before you get a Chinese bench grinder, how to make a spindle grinder. Very good tool rests made up there. Basic tool grinding. This book is worth getting if you've got a shaper, but it's also worth getting if you want to learn how to grind tools and what a single edge cutting tool does. It's good description on making internal keyway tools and gear cutting tools for the shaper, and even using the shaper with a bit of broken off hacksaw blade to cut off. Like the sort of thing I would never bloody think of using a shaper for, but yeah, back in the days when milling machines etc. weren't very common, that's the sort of operations that you would do. Okay, that's all for today. Please like and subscribe and give me some watch hours I need, just a little bit more. Okay, bye.